look in the mirror, man, you're so dirty. Yeah, you look so dirty. You were never worthy. Lately, it's you.
Welcome to the Jeremy Hill Show. If you're easily triggered, leave now because this is not the show for you. If my voice sounds a little funny because I'm recovering, I think I had the flu or whatever like that. My voice still kind of fucked up a little bit. But anyway, long story short, House Bill 2689. House Bill 2689, what is that? That is the bill that has passed the House and now it's stuck in the Senate. And that bill simply makes it where a man is required to take a paternity test before he signs a birth certificate acknowledging that he is the father of a child. And it's in Memphis, Tennessee, but it need to go countrywide, nationwide. And it can happen if all the men would join together in unison and make this happen and hit them polls and demand this thing, you know? It can happen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play some information about that. Then I'm also going to play a lawyer who practices family law, and he's going to break down certain types of paternity fraud. And I'm also showing an example of a bunch of women who happy about running game on men, who are happy about running game on men, making them believe that they are the father of another man's child because that particular man looks better on paper. You get what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and dig this before we dig that, Jack. So let me go ahead and pull this up for you 1 second. Give me a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. There we go.
You guys, Tennessee has made it illegal to lie and put a baby on somebody. Let's talk about it. This new law passed in September of this year makes it a crime to commit paternity fraud. Under the language of the law, you cannot lie about who the father of your child is if you knew or should have known that they weren't the father, and it was with the intent to deprive the actual father of his rights or so that you could get money.
In other words, a woman can be thinking or actually know who the real daddy is, but like I said before, they'll choose to stick that child on another man because he looks better on paper. And for those of you who don't understand what I mean by say another man looks better on paper, that means he got his shit together, so to speak. He got more money. He got better credit. He can actually prove that he has a lifestyle of stability, a man who is level-headed and sober-minded. You get what I'm saying? And it would be better for that child to be raised underneath a man like that than it would be a Pookie, Ray Ray, or Nook Nook, because the other guy that she was giving up her cookies to, the Cookie Monster, the Pookie, the Ray Ray, the Nook Nooks, he ain't shit and she know it. It's like I always say in a lot of my other videos, ladies and gentlemen, most women already know what type of men they dealing with when they lay down with them. You understand what I'm saying? Every hoe knows this shit. Every hoe. Every woman knows when she's sleeping with a man who already has 2 or 3 baby mamas and already knows that man is already taking care of those other children or not. They already know this most time. And even if they don't know, if they have 2 or 3 baby mamas, they can tell by the way they carry themselves what type of thug dude that they dealing with. So don't let these women fool you and say, look, I didn't know, it was a mistake. It's never a mistake. It's always a choice. You chose to do that. So now you knocked up. You're just another stink, musty back heifer, pregnant, about to drop a calf, so to speak, right? But you need somebody who's going to take care of that little bastard child that's coming from Pookie. So therefore, you look for the man who seems to be the good man, and you want to stick that man's child on him. So that's what that means. That's a translation of what she's saying. Let's keep going.
Now, there's been a lot of celebration about this law and outcry that this should be spread nationwide, but I don't think that the impact of this law is going to be as widespread as some may hope. Intent can be extremely difficult to prove, and here there are 2 layers of intent that would have to be proven. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't women who foolishly will say things like, I'm going to tell this person that they're the father so I can get child support. But I think that happens so few and far between that this impact is not going to be tremendous. I plan to follow these cases as they come about, so I'm curious to know what your thoughts are about this law.
The thoughts are it should have been done happen for the past 50 years. You know how many men have found out after the child becomes 22, 23 years old, he been taking care of that child for over 18 years that kid ain't his. Now he done formed a bond with that child. You know what I'm saying? It's horrible. This is a crime. Women should go to prison for this. But I'm going to play something else up here. I want to see these women acknowledge the fact that they knew someone who actually stuck a baby on a man that wasn't his. And then I'm going to take it to the end with that family law doctor, family law lawyer, who's going to break it down even further. I think this is something that you may want to hear. Let me put this up here first, ladies and gentlemen.
You didn't make the child.
Hold on, let me turn that music down just a little bit right quick. I think that might be a little too loud because it's a low volume clip. There ain't nothing I can do about that. All right, here we go.
You didn't make the child. Why should you be financially responsible?
How about this? Do any of you know a girl that has committed paternity fraud against a guy? They basically told him, hey, it's your kid when you know it's not?
I do. It happened to my uncle.
Shit.
The kid's not his. The kid's not his.
So basically,
Does the uncle know that it's not his?
Yeah, he knows, but he doesn't want to fight it in court because it's too much money.
what the?
And that's true. Now, after you find out it ain't your child and you already done signed the birth certificate like a dummy, you know what I mean? You should have, you know what I'm saying? I'm being real with you, man. Now you got to spend even more money to try to prove that it's not your child, even if you got the proof. Now, there's some cases, man, you got to really look this up for yourself. There have been cases where men have actually got a DNA test, was able to prove that the child wasn't his, and was already paying child support on the kid, and he went to the courts, a few men, and said, look, this is the absolute proof that this is not my child. And they still made that man continue to pay child support the duration of that young child's existence until that child became a grown adult. Tell me how that's even fair. That's not fair. So that man would still have to pay money on another man's child, even if he has the proof. This is why we must have a paternity test. I don't care how much you think you love that woman, how much you trust that woman. Every woman has the potentiality of being a hoe, and that's what you got to understand. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. There are women who are weak like that. There are women who play the game like that, okay? And you might got one of those women, you think she can't do no wrong. Here she is, she messing with Pookie on the side. You know what I'm saying? You need to go ahead and get that paternity test before you ever sign a birth certificate, man, because this is a come up for these ladies, man. It's a come up for them. Let's keep going.
So he stuck
He just gave up?
Tell him to go
Yeah,
to
I mean, the
Tennessee.
kid is almost 18 already, but still, you paid like 18 years for this kid.
How long did he know that it wasn't his
Hey.
kid?
The whole time.
The whole
My mom
time?
told him. My mom was like, he doesn't look like you. He looks like that guy.
Okay, but
Your
like how
mom
old
knows
was
the
he?
tea.
How old was the kid when your uncle found out?
Like 3.
Oh damn!
Yeah,
So
the
you
whole
still
time.
just had fucking
Pro
15 more
bono.
years?
They're in different states, and then it was a one-night stand. So
Fuck no.
Okay,
That's
interesting.
crazy,
Just
bro.
like that.
That
Get
is
a pro
wild.
bono lawyer. Like, I'm sure there's people out there that would fight that case.
It don't matter. You don't spend so much money already. You know what I mean? So let me go ahead and put this family law lawyer up here. I want you to really pay attention to what he gonna tell you, because it make a lot of sense. Hold on right quick. I'll pull it up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
So this commentator hit on something that's really problematic. It's called paternity fraud. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but you'll hear about it now. Paternity fraud happens in 2 instances. The first one is what's called the presumption of paternity for a married couple. If 2 people are married, then any child born to either of those people during that marriage is considered the issue of the marriage. Thus, that child, if the child is born to the wife, that the husband is considered the father. There's a rebuttable presumption of this, a legal rebuttable presumption of this. The second instance when paternity fraud happens is when a couple is not married, or a woman is not married, and she convinces somebody to sign the acknowledgement of paternity, however she does it. The fact is, this happens, it happens all too often, and then when it comes out later that this child is not, that the father is not actually the biological father, there are a lot of instances when the courts will simply not want to hear it and will not hear it. They'll use something called equitable estoppel.
This is what you got to understand, the equitable estoppel, if I'm saying that right. It goes back to what I said a while ago. When a father, a man, not the father, a man finds out that that child ain't his, the courts would not want to hear it. Now, he's going to break down with that equitable optical, if I'm saying it right. Well, he'll say it, shit. He going to break it down. Basically, what that means is they don't want to bastardize the child. And that is a real word, bastardize. They don't want to separate the child from the man who the child recognizes all his life as being the father, because that's supposed to be cruel to the child. No one gives a damn about you, gentlemen. I'm telling you. They don't care about how you feel. They care more about what that woman feels, and they care more about what that child feels, the child that is not yours, okay? So you still be shelling out money. You'll still be giving out money, paying for this kid that ain't yours, begrudgingly paying the money, because the courts don't care. Let's keep going. Let me back it up a little bit for you to understand it better.
There are a lot of instances when the courts will simply not want to hear it and will not hear it. They'll use something called equitable estoppel, because if it is determined that the child recognizes the man, husband, ex-husband, just, ex-boyfriend, whatever, to be the child's father, the court will not, and this is the legal term, bastardize the child. There is a public policy, at least in New York, against bastardizing children. And I mean, I see this from kind of the two angles. The first angle is obviously the father's angle. There's a fraud. It was committed. The wife was unfaithful. The girlfriend just lied to him. You know, she was sleeping around and he was the least onerous possible man in her life that could be the father of the child. I've actually heard testimony. I've heard people, women, actually go on the record and admit that they didn't know and they just assumed and they had no idea and they were sleeping around, but they wanted this person to be the father. That's terrible.
Exactly what I said before. Some women will hold themselves out, be a hoe with another man. They may sleep with you and another man, but because you look better on paper, because you got your stuff together, they will intentionally put that child on you, even though they know or have a strong feeling that that child may have come from the other man. You know why? Because she was having raw dog sex with you and him, sex that was unprotected. So she could have gave you an STD. She could have gave you an STD that would never went away, or gave you a terminal STD that could eventually take you out of here if you're not treated with medication. Think about that, Jack.
Terrible. It's fraud. It's straight up fraud. The second instance, the second part of the equation is the child's. This child knows somebody to be its father. And to have that knowledge taken away, for that person to be ripped out of that child's life is cruel and wrong, and the law recognizes that. That's where equitable estoppel comes from. So there are no winners when this happens. There are only losers. I have to question the father, the parent, who would just divorce themselves from a child because that child is not biologically his, even if they raised that child for years and years and years. It's a sad state of affairs. The more you know.
Like I said, man, they don't give a damn about that, man. Look here. All right. This man just said there ain't no winners. It's all losers in this, right? So do you want to be a loser? Do you want to keep messing with women without any type of protection on, rubbers and stuff? Do you want to be a loser and not get a paternity test before you sign a birth certificate? Do you want to be a loser? That's what it come down to, right? And he said the other part that don't make no sense to me whatsoever, that he would question a man who would want to divorce himself from a child. Now, check it out. I get what he's saying. I know you're going to develop a strong bond with that child. They're going to be men say, that's my child. I've been with that child, love that child to death. I just found out it's not mine, but I still love it. That's because you bonded with that child spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and all that, but you're not bonded to him physically. At any given time, the real father can come back and challenge your position in his life, okay? If you want to stay with that child, go ahead. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to condemn you. But what I'm going to say is this right here. If you are in that situation and you decide to leave that child alone, you did not break any law, you didn't commit no sin, it's perfectly understandable. If you find out that that child is not yours and you say, I want to cut all ties with that child and that family, don't let people make you the villain because you was done wrong. You are the victim. See, they want to make it seem like you're not. They want to make it like the child the victim. In a way, the child is a victim, but the victim of the mother and possibly the father if he knew, the real father. That child is the victim of them. That child is not a victim of you. You are a victim of that mother, of that child, and you are the victim of the Pookie who slept with her if he knows that is his child. Because some cases, Pookie know that you're raising his baby. You hear me? So you are the victim, and you should get some kind of compensations for that. But if you decide to leave, man, leave, and don't worry about what nobody else say. I know it's easier said than done, but I don't want you to feel like you the motherfucker because you decided to walk away from a child that's not yours. That child was put on you through deception. They were the evil ones. They were the evil ones, not you. Okay? So anyway, you let me know what you think about this in the comments, man. I'll talk to you pretty soon. You know how I get down. Have a good one now.